All right, I am live on YouTube. For those of you who check out this YouTube live, I'm also speaking inside Clubhouse at the same time. This is something I started doing a few weeks ago just to get myself out of my comfort zone, because I have realized that outside your comfort zone is where all the growth happens, and life truly is richer outside your comfort zone. So since today is Valentine's Day, I might end up oversharing. I'm going to do my best to share an appropriate amount of Lori Hammond's personal life. But at the same time, I think by sharing some things that are on my heart today, it will really hopefully spark some aha moments for you that allow you to step out of your old story, a story that has been holding you back. So I'm supposed to be in Puerto Rico right now. I booked a trip to Puerto Rico several months ago because I used to tell myself a story that winters were really hard for me, and that in the winter I tend to feel a little bit more blue, a little bit more down. I do not like the short days. I don't like the cold weather. And I can be a bit of a whiner in the wintertime. And I've shared in the past that the reason I decided to become a hypnotist is because it helped me eradicate decades of lifelong labels. I have been labeled as severely clinically depressed multiple times, and I had tried everything to step out of depression and could not find my way out. And until I found hypnosis, and I discovered how a person can change their state, how they can change how they are showing up in the world. And it gave me the freedom it was the key that unlocked the door that let me step out of depression. And I'm so grateful. And that's not to say that I never feel down or my body never tries to go back into that place that is just natural and comfortable for me, because sometimes we're comfortable. Even if we don't like the situation we're in, we feel comfortable there. It's familiar. So I'm not sure how that ties into what I'm about to share. Oh, because it was winter. So I'm supposed to be in Puerto Rico right now. And I canceled the trip because when I realized that today was February 14th and I was going to be in Puerto Rico on February 14th, I thought, I want to rewrite my story about Valentine's Day, rewrite my story about February 14th, and I want to be here to celebrate. So 1 year ago today, this is so crazy. I realized that Valentine's Day was coming up. So I put out an email to my entire email list, and I said, hey, I'm just going to do do you want to hang out with me on Valentine's Day? And I will walk us through a hypnosis protocol to just tune our unconscious minds to find love this year. For people who are single and who are frustrated and people who hate Valentine's Day, let's all just hang out together. Because I have been single for 15 years and not completely single. I've had a couple boyfriends that for a few months, and then that fizzled and went away. But for the most part, I've been single for the past 15 years, and I was married for 15 years before that. So it's kind of interesting. I got married when I was 18 years old. Got pregnant a month after the wedding, had my first baby a month after my 19th birthday. And so it's been a fun adventure. So 1 year ago, I met with a group of, I think there were about 8 people there, and it was a really cool experience. And we just talked about changing our story about love, because when I went through my divorce, I said, I'm never doing this again. I'm never going to get married again. And I still don't know that I would ever want to get married again, but I kind of decided I'm going to do this on my own. And man, our resolutions can be powerful, can they not? The things we say about ourselves. And this really isn't going to just be about my love life or complete lack thereof. But one of the things I've learned in the past 15 years, when I got married, this was 1990 when I got married, or was it 91? It was 91. And I remember thinking, I really wanted to get out of my house. I wanted to get away from my family of origin. It was a really unpleasant situation. And I thought the only way for me to get out of there was to get married because I couldn't take care of myself. And it's so interesting because being single all this time, it has helped me break a lot of those stories and realize I can be content by myself. There's so much peace in the present moment. And just this morning, as I was getting ready, I was listening to a podcast from Dr. Andrew Huberman about the power of play. And he was talking about how as infants, we feel discomfort. We know something is wrong. We're not really sure what it is. We're just uncomfortable. So we cry. And that cry is us asking something outside of us, someone outside of us to take care of us and fix this thing that's wrong inside of us. It could be that we have a poopy diaper, or we have gas, or we're hungry. And we cry as a way to ask someone else to take care of us. And as we progress, sometimes when we're frustrated, we think that we need to reach for something outside of us to find something to help us feel better, whether that's alcohol, or for me, it was food, or, we need another person to help us feel okay. And one of the most beautiful gifts I have received over the past 15 years is learning how to be okay with discomfort, learning how to be okay with being alone, learning how to be okay with being just being. And it's been a really beautiful adventure. So 1 year ago, I did this group call. It was a really beautiful time of connection. And I thought, I'm going to rewrite my story about Valentine's Day. And I went through the day. I don't remember what else happened that day. But that evening, I went to bed early. I go to bed pretty early. I wake up pretty early. And I was sound asleep. And I believe it was about 10 o'clock at night, my fire alarm started going off. And at the time, I was living with my youngest daughter, Janessa. And I was disoriented, like I was deep asleep. And I got up and I'm looking around and I saw her standing by the back door with the dog, because the dog was freaking out, getting ready to go outside. And it was 14 below zero Fahrenheit, which I don't know what that is Celsius, but it's really freaking cold. 14 below zero outside, and we needed to get the dog out of the house. So we went and got in the car and started warming up the car. And it was just slowly dawning on me what was happening. We're sitting outside the apartment complex. And so I lived on the first floor of a 4-story apartment building. And whatever was going on, it was like the entire building, the smoke alarm was going off, and people were pouring out of the building. And when I looked closer, I realized that there was water streaming through the deck above my apartment. And I as I was coming to my senses, I thought, what is happening? Why is there water? Why do they have water on? Because they would sometimes water plants in the summertime. And I thought, are they watering something right now? And I realized it's flooding. The apartment above me is flooding. And I told Janessa, I said, I don't think we're going to get back in tonight. I don't know what's happening, but until they fix this, I think we're just going to need to go find a place to stay. And I said, is there anything you need from inside? And I can't remember what she said, but I went in to get my laptop, which is like my one thing. I needed my laptop. And when I walked in, as I walked in to get the laptop, there's water starting to come through the ceiling of my apartment. And I went to get the laptop and I sat there, and it's still I still couldn't wrap my brain around what was happening. And I went in for one more trip. I don't know if it was to get the cell phones, or maybe I don't know. And by the time I went back in the second time, there was a smell. It's such a weird thing to remember. Our sense of smell goes directly to the memory center of the brain. So when I go back into this experience, I remember this musky, watery smell coming through the ceiling, and there was water starting to pour through, and the lights were all off. It had shorted the electricity to my apartment. And we're driving away, and Janessa had to keep reminding me how to drive. She's like, Mom, just breathe. You just ran a stoplight. And we'd like to think as hypnotists that we know how to keep our cool, that we know how to change our state and stay in the moment. But I was just in this complete panic because I couldn't wrap my brain around what was happening. The next morning, I actually had a podcast interview with Jason Linett. Jason Linett was on my podcast, and that was the first thing I was thinking is like, I am not canceling this interview. And so I recorded that podcast with Jason Linett from my sister's basement, and it went really well. And I remember thinking, I can't even remember what I wore, because when I left the apartment, I was wearing my bathrobe. So after that interview, we went to go check out the damage, and the place was just destroyed. You could see the water line where the water had been halfway up my couches, and my apartment had filled with so much water that it had flooded out of my apartment and destroyed that whole wing of the apartment complex. So my apartment actually ended up getting the worst damage. I think there are well over 400 units in that building, and mine got the worst damage of all. And I remember just walking around, and it stunk so bad. And I now realize it's because there were existing water problems, and I think there was already existing mold. But I felt like I was breathing in mold as I was walking through, and you could see the moisture in the air because you couldn't open any windows because it was well below freezing. And I just remember like squishing, like the carpets were squishy and there was still standing water on the hardwood floors. And I remember opening the closet, my storage closet, and seeing a huge manila envelope. It's like 2 poster boards stapled together to hold all my kids' artwork. This one still hurts. All my kids' artwork that they had created. And there was this beautiful chalk self-portrait that my oldest daughter had created. It was chalk on black paper, and I pulled that paper out, and it was completely empty. It was completely blank. And we just spent a few minutes in there. We recorded the damage, and then we left. And I found out, so I had renter's insurance, but I've never had to collect renter's insurance before. So when I called to see what to do with my renter's insurance, it turns out that my renter's insurance did not cover loss of property. So this was a really dark time for me because I loved that apartment. It was my favorite place I have ever lived. I love being roommates with my little girl. She was 22 at the time. So not a little girl, but it was really devastating. And I remember so many people reached out to offer me help and ask if they could help me replace my furniture. And I didn't want to take that because I knew I would be able to figure it out. I knew I would be able to come up with the money. And person after person practically begged me to do a GoFundMe. And I thought, no freaking way am I going to let someone do a GoFundMe. And I realized, think about when you want to give someone a gift and they won't accept it. And I thought, what if I'm actually keeping these people from a positive experience by saying no? And so I told myself, if one more person asks, I will say yes. And like hours later, someone asked, and I said yes. And it was so cool to see just the outpouring of love, like how many people expressed love to me by sending gifts of money. I call them notes of appreciation, to support me and help me replace my furniture. And we actually moved to the 4th floor, and I hated that apartment. I had such a bad attitude. It was so different than the apartment that I had before. And I went into a really dark place. I really, really struggled. There were times when I struggled to get out of bed, and I just felt like the rug had been yanked out from under my feet. So that is the Valentine's experience that I had until now. And it's so interesting because I set that intention on February 14th last year to experience love, to step into essentially whatever life had to offer me, to step into my worthiness to receive that. And it happened in such an unexpected way, because over the past year, by pushing through and by leaning on the support of the people who love me and by continuing to move forward, even though life was crazy. So the day after my interview with Jason Linett, I actually had an interview with Mike Mandel, which is like that. That was like the pinnacle of my career, because he's my teacher. And I did that one also from my sister's basement. But by continuing to move forward instead of just letting the ball drop because life was in complete upheaval, I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about resilience. And when I look back and see the way love has unfolded in my life in the past year, it's that I have truly stepped into a place of self-love. And I was already on that journey. It started, 15 years ago after my divorce, when I just started to ask myself, what if I could stop hating myself? Like, what if I could just, because I was so myself and I felt so unworthy of a good life. And so it was first just starting to let go of that idea of like talking mean to myself and being mean to myself and trying to motivate myself by beating myself up all the time. It was first just starting to step out of that, and then starting to just gradually over time step into the idea of like, what if I could love myself? What if I could be kind to myself? What if I can actually change better by being nice? This is something BJ Fogg says. He says, we change best by feeling good. Guilt is not a motivator. I will stand on the mountain and shout, guilt will not motivate you to do better, because it keeps you stuck in the thing you want to change. So over the past year, by continuing to move forward and by allowing people to support me, by allowing myself to step out of that thing I said at the end of my divorce, when I said, I'm never going to let someone help me again, I'm going to do it all by myself. It's opened the door to me bringing people into my business and allowing people to help me in my business, allowing people to help me in like my mastermind group. I had just started a mastermind group when this happened, and 100 people had joined, and it was brand new, and I had all these plans. And when this happened, I was unable to spend the amount of time there that I needed to, because I was trying to find a place to live. And what happened in my absence is this group of people gathered together and rallied around one another and started supporting and lifting one another up in a way that was so much more beautiful than anything I could have done by myself. And it actually laid a foundation for a more beautiful experience than I could have ever created on my own. So today, today is full circle moment, because I've been putting together a 10-week program called Workshops That Work. And I'm not here this isn't meant to be an advertisement, but just a sharing of my journey and of my heart. And so if you're in Clubhouse, that link is at the top of this room. And I know there's several of you here who are already enrolled, so that's really awesome. And if you're in YouTube, that link is inside the description of this video. But when I put this together, so I knew I wanted to create something that teaches people how to build a six-figure business the way I have, by doing group hypnosis sessions. And that's the reason I created that mastermind a year ago. And by working through it with that group of people, I've learned what people really need, how people are stuck, how to move them forward. Because knowing how to do a group session is like 1/100th of what allows you to build your business. There's so much more beyond that that's about helping people, like knowing how to actually reach people, how to actually get their attention, how to talk about the group session in a way that makes them actually want to give you their notes of appreciation in exchange for the value you give. And then how to hook up all the automations that lets them click a single button and give you their money, and you give them a link to the call, and then you give them a link to the replay afterwards. So I thought, okay, I want to create this. I know people need this. I know people want this. And I freaking know how to help somebody build a six-figure business doing group hypnosis sessions. I don't do one-on-ones at all. And so I knew I wanted to launch it end of January, beginning of February. but I wasn't sure how to do it. And so I thought, okay, what if I let my mastermind help me? And so the moral of this story is allow people to help you, step into your worthiness to help. And I thought, what if I could get 10 people in the mastermind group to spend the next 10 weeks helping me build this by me walking them through it and them giving me feedback. And I went through the list of 100 people that were in that group, and I think it was like 86 at this point. And I wrote down names of people who I thought would participate. And so the next day I posed it in a group call. I said, what do you guys want to go on this adventure with me? We're going to kick it off right away. If you want to do this, you got to let me know right now. And 46 people signed up. And those of you, oh my gosh, those of you who are here, Liz, Jeff, Desiree, you have helped me so much. And I absolutely know that I would not have had this ready if it wasn't for you and the others in that group giving me feedback and walking through this and telling me what worked well and what needed tweaking. So when I scheduled when the cart would close, when the registration would close, I chose February 14th on purpose. Because it's this full circle moment that has brought me from one of the darkest times of my life to one of the most beautiful times of my life. And I will tell you, my journey here has been so, so hard. When you get outside your comfort zone and you do something that you don't feel ready to do, and maybe you don't feel equipped to do it, and maybe you don't feel worthy to do it, it pushes you outside your comfort zone in a way that forces you into self-love, into self-kindness. Because if you don't choose to be your own biggest cheerleader, you're not going to make it. And if you wait to feel ready, you're never going to do it. And if you wait till you feel like you have your act together, you're never going to do it. If you wait till you have arrived, you're not going to do it. It's all about taking imperfect action, doing it before you're ready, and figuring it out along the way. And one of the most beautiful things about this is I tend to be perfectionistic. I want to have everything perfect. I want to have all my ducks in a row. I want to be the best of the best. And often what I learned, in the first 4 decades of my life is that if I can't do it perfectly, then I just throw up my hands and don't do it at all. My YouTube video is getting fuzzy, so I'm going to do something strange. Okay, I think we fixed it. I think this tends to be a characteristic of people, hypnotic entrepreneurs, these open-hearted healers who want to help people. We want to wait till we have a perfect plan. We want to wait till we know it's going to work. And here's the thing. You never know it's going to work. The best way to get started is to start experimenting. Start treating life as a game and start trying stuff out and just practicing stuff and realizing that it's okay to show up and be perfectly imperfect. I'm not totally sure where I was when I started that train of thought. I can easily remember what I was going to say. So I guess for me, my encouragement to you would be, if you have a story about Valentine's Day, if you have a story about your ability to show up, if you have a story about needing to be ready or needing to fix some certain problem or needing to take one more certification or, insert your I will be ready when ... here, and know that that is a trick of the imposter monster. That is this precious part of us that wants to keep us safe, trying to keep us playing small, because there's a part of us that equates being in our comfort zone with being safe. And so often our comfort zone sucks. Like, our comfort zone is poverty. Our comfort zone is not making a difference in the world. Our comfort zone is throwing up our hands and saying, oh, that didn't work the first time, so I'm just going to give up. And I challenge you, I double dare you to ask yourself, Who would I be if I let that belief go? I feel like just in this past 10 weeks, as I have leveled up in my career, I've had to push through so many limiting beliefs. And it became so painful for me to think, what if I can't do this? What if I drop the ball? What if I let people down? That I thought, okay, Lori, this hurts too bad. I just have to put on a new identity. And if you're watching me on YouTube, I'm like, it's like I'm putting on this coat or this cape. Maybe it's a superhero cape. It's like, okay, what's my new identity going to be? What if I can be Lori Hammond leader? What if I can step up to this challenge? And those what ifs are so powerful. I double dare you to give yourself a what if right now while you're listening. What if I can't do this? What if I am ready to do this scary thing? What if there's no such thing as ready and I get to choose to create my own destiny with purpose? Okay. Let me know if you're watching on YouTube, which I can see there's 3 people watching and 2 people have given me thumbs up, which is so awesome. If you're watching this and you like this video, I would love it if you give me a thumbs up. But if you're watching on YouTube, I would love it if you would ask a question in the comments if you have any questions about anything I said, or if you want to share anything, and I'll wait just a moment and then I'll end this YouTube and just hang out in Clubhouse for a couple minutes. I'm trying to think of a protocol I could walk you all through. Let's do this. Okay, I have one. This is something that I know I learned this from somewhere else. It's not a Lori Hammond original, but it's been so long I don't remember where I learned it. And when I first started hypnosis, I wanted to show people how to lose weight with hypnosis, because that's the reason I learned hypnosis, was to end my lifelong up and down yo-yo battle with my weight. And I walked them through an exercise because I knew that when a person is learning new eating behaviors, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Like you're going to feel hungry. You're going to be breaking habits of, eating behaviors that you've had in the past. For me, I had labeled myself, after reading books, I had self-diagnosed myself as a food addict, which is a terrible label to put on yourself. And so when you're stepping out of an old behavior, an old limiting belief, it's going to feel uncomfortable. So I created this exercise for people to go through in my weight loss program. And I've been sharing it more and more because it's a really useful exercise for helping people start to realize that it's okay to do things that are uncomfortable. It's okay to do things that feel weird. If it feels right, that means you're going to get stuck in the familiar. If it feels weird and it feels uncomfortable and it feels maybe even downright painful and scary, then that means that you are getting ready to grow as a human, because all the growth happens outside your comfort zone. So if you want to play along with me, I'm going to walk you through, hypnotically future pace you to start brushing your teeth with your opposite hand. And the reason this is beneficial is because when you brush your teeth with your opposite hand, it's going to feel really weird. And you're literally training your body to understand that you can do hard and uncomfortable things and be okay. And that the more you do those uncomfortable things, the more automatic it becomes. There's a woman in my Transy Tuesdays group who was in my very first round of weight loss classes, and she now brushes her teeth with her left hand all the time. She says she doesn't even think about brushing her teeth with her right hand like she used to, because it became so automatic for her to brush with her left. So here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. And you can do this as you're watching on YouTube or listening on Clubhouse. I want you, if you're able to close your eyes, do so. If not, you can do this with your eyes open, but just vividly imagine that it's the time of day when you normally brush your teeth. Notice the quality of light during this time of day. And imagine that you're stepping into your bathroom, if that's where you keep your toothbrush, and that you feel the floor beneath your feet. You notice the light in this room. You hear the sounds you hear when you're about to brush your teeth. Perhaps you smell the aromas that might be going on in the bathroom. And then as you are reaching for your toothbrush, like you see your hand reaching for your toothbrush and it triggers this thought, oh yeah, I'm going to switch and use my opposite hand. And instead of picking it up with the dominant hand that you usually brush with, you pick it up with the opposite hand. And then you put that toothpaste on the toothbrush. It's going to feel weird because you're doing it backwards. And as you're brushing your teeth, you'll probably notice your shoulder is moving in a weird way. Your elbow's moving in a weird way. It feels so weird. Maybe there's like toothpaste drool dripping down your chin. And as you are experiencing that discomfort, I invite you to say in your mind, uncomfortable things can become automatic, because you are literally hypnotizing yourself to step into your resilience, to step into your worthiness, to get outside your comfort zone, and to start to recognize when things feel uncomfortable. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It means you're growing. And so I'd like you to mentally rehearse that once more. Just vividly imagine being in the place where you brush your teeth, seeing what you see, hearing what you hear, feeling what you hear, smelling what you smell, and see your hand reaching for that toothbrush and automatically switching it and remembering to pick it up with the opposite hand. And as you brush, thinking to yourself, uncomfortable things soon become automatic. Brushing your teeth is such a great time to install new mantras, because you can't talk anyway, and you're probably thinking something in your mind, so you might as well think something empowering. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm so grateful that you watched or listened. Please, pretty please do yourself a favor and check out the link that's in the YouTube video. I see Dawn just commented, I'm going to switch it to the left-hand drawer so I remember. Oh, that's an awesome idea, Dawn. So she's going to move her toothbrush so that she remembers to do this. That's a really great idea. Check out the link to workshops that work either here in YouTube where you're watching this video, or at the top of the page here in Clubhouse. The doors close at 6 o'clock Eastern time today, and I will not allow anyone in after the doors close, because I want people to know, like, and trust me that when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So check it out. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and I will say goodbye on YouTube and then hang out on Clubhouse for a moment. Goodbye on YouTube. All right.